Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Say That Dan Show. I'm your host, Ahmed Muhammad. We're going to be talking about Coach of the Year today. And basically, uh, it's down to a two-man race. Kevin O'Connell for the Minnesota Vikings and Dan Campbell for the Detroit Lions. So I want to get you guys' opinion on who do you think should win Coach of the Year. And I'm going to give, I'm going to be as non-biased that I can be, but we'll get there. But first, let me reach out to my sponsors. We wouldn't be able to do this without our sponsors from Pryor's Custom Caulking. If you need a job done efficiently, effectively, and quality work on time, reach out to Pryor's Custom Caulking. They've been in business since 1999, 5-star rating. Reach out to Pryor's Custom Caulking. You guys got spring we got coming up right now. You need some repairs done to your house or your commercial building, call Pryor's Custom Caulking. You can reach them at 248-431-8684. Again, that's 248-431-8684. Or on email, you can reach them at talkcaulk@yahoo.com. Again, that's talkcaulk@yahoo.com. Leave it to the professionals. Okay, without further ado, we're going to get into this, you guys. Bear with me. I got notes all over the place. Okay, we got two teams coming up tonight. Minnesota Vikings, 14-2. Detroit Lions, 14-2. So Coach of the Year, I thought it was the totality, and it should be the totality of the coach of what he's done with a particular franchise. But I guess that's not the case in terms of picking a Coach of the Year. I guess it comes down to a surprise team. And if that be the case, then because nobody thought Minnesota would be in the position that they are in today. But here's the problem I have with that. Because it's the way that the pundits is setting it up is they're not going by what you did in previous years. They're going by what you did this year. So here's what I want to tell you. And I'm going to give the kudos to on both coaches. Dan Campbell for the Detroit Lions has taken a franchise that was in no man's land. In no man's land, literally in no man's land. And granted, they were considered to be a Super Bowl favorite coming into this year. But they got ravaged with injuries. How many players? 18 players on IR. And let me show you what Dan Campbell did. 18 players on IR. Aiden Hutchinson, Aline McNeil, Marcus Davenport, Derek Barnes, Carlton Davis, all starters. All starters on IR. So Dan Campbell went out in the streets, literally in the streets, to replace starters in the streets. Just think about that for a moment, you guys. People that was just doing and cleaning carpet and everything like that, they played before, but they're going on with their life. Here comes the Lions. Hey man, we need some bodies. Our defense, we don't have nobody. 18 players on IR. We don't know what to do. Can you come play for us? Off the street. I think that's remarkable. And they still reached 14-2. So there's an argument to be made for both coaches. Here's a coach with Kevin O'Connell for the Minnesota Vikings, which it was a team in the beginning of the season, in preseason, and all through the season that they weren't considered to go to the playoffs, at least not this year. They had just got a guy, a quarterback out of Michigan University, and drafted him 10th overall, J.J. McCarthy. So everybody's saying, okay, well, he's going to have to get his training wheels off first, and then maybe next year they'll do something. So unfortunately, he got injured through, I believe, a preseason game. And so therefore, they had to scrap that. So here comes enter in Sam Darnold. Been having a remarkable season this year. But so has Jared Goff. So my question to you guys, man, is who do you think should win Coach of the Year between Dan Campbell and Kevin O'Connell? And I'm kind of sliding, and I'm being non-biased towards Dan Campbell. Here is a franchise he took 3 years ago that was in the midst of the greatest chaos in the history of the NFL. And it made them a championship caliber team. We're all in the span of 3 years. Think about that. On the other hand, we have Kevin O'Connell, who basically wasn't expected to do anything this year. And he has the same record as the team that was expected to do something this year. 14-2. So is the Detroit Lions, 14-2. So here's my question. How do we decide who's going to be the MVP of the coaching for 2024? Will it be Dan Campbell or will it be Kevin O'Connell? It's an argument that can be made for both. Both of them are practically new head coaches for their respective teams. But I tip my hat off to, if I had to make a vote today, Dan Campbell. Of course, the votes don't come out until February, Super Bowl week. But I have to tip my cap to Dan Campbell, because there's no way in hell that you took a franchise that was in the dumps, and within 3 years of you being there, you turned them around to being a Super Bowl contender. I don't care if people expected for the Lions to do this. That shouldn't matter. The only thing that should matter is this man took a team that was in destitute, that was thrown out into the wolves, and he came into an organization, and Sheila Ford, the owner of the Lions, gave him an opportunity. And look what he has done within the last 3 years. I don't care. I like Kevin O'Connell. I believe he's a great coach, but I don't care what accolades or whatever, 14-2, good job, Kevin. But if the league choose Kevin O'Connell over Dan Campbell, it's going to be some issues, man. It's just not right. Because there's no logic to really get my mindset in tune with Kevin O'Connell. Okay, I get the fact that it was a surprise and it was a shock that Minnesota, but look, it shouldn't have been a shock. They got Justin Jefferson. They got Edison, the wide receiver. It shouldn't have been a shock. You see? So why wasn't it a shock back in 2022 when the Lions, he should have been head coach back, he should have been coach of the year back then when they beat the Packers the last game of the year. But barely made it because the Seattle Seahawks won that game. So they were virtually playing for nothing. But they still went out there and poured their heart out on that field in the cold and won. He didn't win Coach of the Year. Talking about Dan Campbell. What about 2023? First time in how many, 30 years? Reaching the NFC championship game. Still didn't win Coach of the Year. So when are you going to give Dan Campbell the credit that he deserves to be Coach of the Year? I don't know. Kevin O'Donnell, he's a great coach. Kevin O'Neill, he's a great coach. But it's not your year, man. Come back again and prove yourself again the following year. And then maybe I consider you as head coach of the year. But right now, if the league do not give Dan Campbell, especially not, they're not going to give Jared Goff MVP. If the league do not give Dan Campbell Coach of the Year, it's going to be hell to pay the captain. This is just your brother from Say That Dan Sports, Ahmed Muhammad. Stay tuned for tonight's game. 2 head coaches, the only ones in the running. Kevin O'Neill versus Dan Campbell. It should be a dandy. Have a blessed day, you guys. I'm out. Ooh. Let me see this. Damn. Think I like it.